in our landscape here. I'm moving pretty quick through this. This is my cue to give you guys a break. I wanted to show you guys again the Triple Creek site. I love the Triple Creek site. I was going to say BDAs or beaver dam analogs, but I'm assuming everybody here knows what a BDA is, and that's fantastic. That's really cool. And what I like about this technique is that it actually is building soil. You know, it's fascinating watching this happen. You know, going from here and then watching all that trap the sediment. And right now it's the coarse sediment, but when the water starts to lose a lot of that velocity, you're going to start picking up that finer sediment too. So it's just a process. So I really like it. Is there any questions to this point about inherent dynamic soil qualities?
Well, I don't know if it's about that, but one of those books that you showed is a book that was with me a long time ago. It's a soil analysis of Okanagan County, I think, right? And I thought that it said where I am in town that it was a Tenasket soil. You know what that means?
So when they name soils, they try to take names from the local area. So that, I think it's the Tenasket Silt Loam, I believe,
Okay.
is it, I think? I've seen it before. Yeah, so they just take those names from the local area. Like we have a Havila Silt Loam.
And that's different from Tenasket?
Yep, they'll just be, and there's subtle differences in it. So, and that's why they has the local names.
So what are the qualities? Oh, I was going to ask, what are the qualities of Tenasket silt loam?
I'm going to get into that in a few slides. So we can come back to that.
Could you talk a little bit more about the mycorrhizal that you spoke of at the beginning?
Mhm.
Soil organisms, or are you going to do that also?
Not per se.
But just to explain a little bit of their function and what they are. I mean,
The mycorrhiza
is it
itself?
like fungal threads or?
Correct. So generally when we think about fungi, we think of the fruiting body, right? The mushroom. But really, the bulk of what fungi is the mycorrhizal fungi hyphae that's just throughout the soil everywhere. And you really can't see it most of the time. And what's important about that hyphae is it has a symbiotic relationship with land plants. So the hyphae gives the plant nitrogen that it can't fix from the air, and the plant in turn gives it micronutrients that it doesn't really derive, and it gives it water as well. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Think of nitrogen-fixing legumes that have the nodules. That's not fungi, that's bacteria that have formed in those nodules. And if you have a chance, you dig up a legume and you see a nodule, cut it open and then expose it to air, it'll turn red. That molecule in there is similar to the hemoglobin in our blood. So we're connected in a lot of ways. It's really cool.
Thank you. That was
You bet. Yeah. So she's asking, does tilling negatively affect fungal hyphae in the soil? And yes, it does. That's why there's a big push to go to no-till. And in a lot of soil health conferences, you'll hear people say, keep it covered, cover cropping, no-till. We work that in as an integrated soil management system in agriculture. And by doing that, you can even get rid of pesticide use, you can get rid of fertilizer use. A lot of folks that have went to no-till have greatly reduced a lot of inputs from conventional agriculture. And in conventional agriculture, I'm talking about tilling, you put down the fertilizer, you spray for pests, and it's just this cycle that you keep buying these products. Well, it's a symptom of a larger problem, right? It's like taking a pill for a larger problem. Okay, keep it covered. You should think of the soil. Soil microbes and organisms are always going to give the soil nutrients. Okay, you think of it like a bank account of nutrients, because all of these soil microbes, they compete with one another. There's predators, there's prey. Well, that predator-prey relationship, what happens? They're defecating, right? That's nutrients. In some circles, they call that the soil poop loop. The soil poop loop, and it's all the soil microbes that are competing and fighting with one another and redistributing and using those nutrients. And when you start tilling and removing their food and the roots, you disrupt that. And there's a lot of good research in agriculture where they do inoculations before they go to no-till, so they inoculate the soil with these microbes and fungal hyphae, and 5-6 years later, it's pretty much fully recovered in a no-till system as long as you keep it covered.
So can you provide promote that in your own garden? I mean, so just by covering like the leaf stuff or
Correct, or a technique called sheet mulching with cardboard?
Do I need to inoculate my soil first and then,
Not necessarily.
so how is the time frame for just starting to cover? I mean, for the kids and stuff to get comfortable with, utilizing your soil?
As after you inoculate,
No, so I don't inoculate, but I just start covering my soil with like leaves, stuff, and, because I notice my compost pile, there's always stuff in there, and there's lots of activity in
Right
the
there.
compost pile.
add it with compost,
Yeah,
all that
so How much do
biology.
you need? Do you need to have a really heavy layer? Do you need to have?
Nope, just layer it and then go from year to year. It doesn't have to be feet deep.
Uh-huh.
Be a couple inches deep, and then it works into the soil, decays over time. But compost, it has all those microorganisms in it. That's what breaks compost down, is the soil microbes. And that smell, like that nice smell of compost, that's the microbes giving off waste. That's actual micro waste that you smell.
So in the forest, you have the forest litter,
Mhm.
it covers, and that's doing that same type of job in the forest.
Yep, and that's why in forest management, we maintain the organic layer. When you remove that organic layer, that's when you start seeing declines in productivity, because there's a loss in nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, NPK, all the nutrients that we consider plant important.
Is the Colville Indian Reservation using these practices in the forest?
I don't know. I would be surprised if they are. They would have to have a soil scientist on board that could interpret soil taxonomy and know where to apply that in their planning process. So if they didn't have that, then I would assume that they're probably not. But I can't speak for the Colville Nation. But they could do it. The Colville National Forest does it. I know the soil scientist over there. So I know they do it.
So Luke, when did the local national forest start implementing this approach?
Say that again?
When did the local national forests and state lands start implementing this more holistic approach to soil science?
Some of my colleagues have tried in the past. When I came in, what was it, 2013, I brought this approach with me, and it's, how do I say this? You got to be a salesman. You got to sell, right? Because we get used to getting stuck in the way that we always do things, and it works for us. So let's just keep doing it that way. What worked for me, and you'll see it on the case study for Mount Hall, is I ended up being team lead for that project. So they couldn't keep me out from doing it anymore because I was leading the team. So we're going to go this way, and here's how we can do it. But once it's an educational thing. And once people see the value of it and start connecting the dots, it's just like anything else. They start seeing the value of it. And I would say that we have some of the best soil mapping in the country for this county. The folks that did the soil mapping in Okanagan County in the late 80s, they knew what they were doing. It's really good. So if your county doesn't have that, it would be a little bit harder to do what I'm going to show you that I did with Mount Hall, because you would have to create your own soil map rather than just kind of modify the one that's existing from the NRCS. So there is that too. But we'll talk about that after the break. Anything else? These are great questions. All right.
That's great. I love having a question and answer session before the intermission. That's innovative. Those are some really good questions to be able to ask and not have to wait. So before we do our intermission, Rob Thompson has an announcement.